Now, as a Brit that's lived in Australia after moving from the UK, there is definitely a lot of similarities between Brits and Aussies, but there is also a lot of differences. I thought the best way to show what I've seen about Brits and Aussies would be to talk about how they would act in certain scenarios, and that's what we're going to go into in today's video to really kind of show you guys the differences that I've noticed between the two. Point number one is any sort of extreme weather. Now in Australia, I feel like when there's extreme weather, Aussies are just very chilled about it. Obviously it's not uncommon to get pretty crazy weather in Australia, whether that be temperatures above 40 degrees, hurricanes, cyclones, extreme drought, floods. Like, it is fairly common in Australia, and I feel like Aussies, when these sort of events happen, it's not really massive news, to be honest, unless it's like a once in a decade sort of event. But taking the temperature as one example, if it gets to 45 degrees, Aussies just don't really care. They're like, oh yeah, it's a bit hot, get on with their usual day, and nothing really changes. Compare that to in the UK, if we were to get a day above 40 degrees, the whole country literally goes into meltdown. No one knows what to do. No one wants to go to work. All the trains are shut down. All the transport stops working. If there's a slight storm in the UK, you can bet on most trains and buses being cancelled. In Australia, I don't really think that's the case, not with the heat at all. And I think personally, Aussies and Brits react differently to this, but also the way the whole country reacts when there's a major weather event. In the UK, it shuts down the whole country. In Australia, it's not really the case. Point number two is big spiders and big bugs. Now, whilst you will get some Aussies that are afraid of them, I feel like most Aussies are very used to it and they just don't care. If they were to find a huntsman in their house, I've heard multiple Aussies say that if they found a huntsman in their house, they would happily leave it there because it gets rid of the flies. Like, you're crazy. In the UK, if anyone finds a huntsman in their house, which obviously wouldn't happen, but if they did, it would be insane. No one would be leaving that in their house, do you know what I mean? In fact, I'd probably just move out. But Aussies are so calm and relaxed when it comes to finding any sorts of dangerous animals. Obviously not everyone. Some people are gonna freak out if they find a snake in their garden, but some are not gonna care. In the UK, if you find any sort of bug in your house, especially if it's big, you're gonna freak out because it's not something you see very often at all. Aussies are pretty chill about it. Point number three, I think, sums up the two cultures quite well, and I think that is if someone is doing well. Now in the UK, if someone is doing well for themselves, maybe they've made some money, maybe they've achieved a goal they wanted to do, maybe they've been traveling. In the UK, I don't feel like anyone shows any interest. In fact, it's the opposite. They get pretty jealous and don't really support you, aren't really interested in what you've been up to, and almost try and bring you down a little bit, especially on social media. The hate culture in the UK is insane. For anyone that does something that's a bit different, a bit out of the ordinary, just gets hated on so much purely because everyone's jealous and they would never do something like that themselves. I'm not saying that that's not the case in Australia, but from my experience, Aussies are way more supportive when it comes to you doing well. If you're talking about your travel plans and your ambitions and everything you want to do, they're like, yeah, good on you, that's great. Do you know what I mean? Like, they admire you for it. In the UK, they're like, oh, don't you want to get a job or something? Don't you want to get a real job? Or they look at the negative, do you know what I mean? In Australia, Aussies, from my experience, are a lot more supportive and they actually want to hear your stories and your plans. In the UK, everyone's jealous and kind of doesn't want to hear because it makes them feel That's one thing I've noticed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on that one. Before we go further with the video, guys, have you subscribed to the channel yet? If you haven't, then go and click it down there. Point number 4 is one that you've definitely heard me speak about before, but I had to include it because it is one of the biggest differences between Brits and Aussies, and that is criticism of the country. I'll keep it brief because I've mentioned it before, but for example, if someone comes to Australia and complains about the country, criticizes certain things, Aussies do not like it at all. They get pretty defensive about their city or their country, and they don't like to hear any bad points of view or even any criticism at all. They really don't like it. They're very passionate about which city is the best and don't like it if anyone says anything bad about their city, which to be honest is fair enough. But it's very different to in the UK, where if someone were to come to the UK and criticize it, no one's gonna care. In fact, they're just gonna agree with you. And also, no one in the UK is competing for who's the best city. No one cares. In Australia, everyone's like, oh, Sydney's better than Melbourne, Perth's better than Sydney. Like, everyone's so like keen about what their favourite city is. In the UK, everyone's like, it's all do you know what I mean? So criticism of the country, Aussies get defensive and hate it. In the UK, no one cares. I kind of respect the Aussies on that, to be honest. And point number 5 is a little bit of a stereotype, but again, it's something that I have noticed way more in Australia, and that is when you get a day off of work in the UK, most people on a day off either sit in bed watching TV, getting a takeaway, or they go to the pub. Yes, that's not the case for everyone, but I would say that is the case for a lot of people in the UK, especially during the winter time. There really isn't that much you can do outside. There is fit and healthy people that go and do exercise, of course. In general though, I feel like if people get a day off in the UK, they're spending that indoors in front of the TV, or they're going to the pub. However, in Australia, Aussies on a typical day off are way more likely to go down the beach, spend the day in the sun, go on a hike, have a picnic outside, do something active or at least in nature. Of course, the environment of each country does make a massive difference. In the UK, you can't always just sit outside. In Australia, they're blessed with the weather, so they can literally do so much outside, but I feel like on a typical day off, Aussies' first thought is to get out there and do something fun, or go down the beach or go on a bike ride. In the UK, everyone's first thought is, yeah, what can I watch or what can I drink at the pub? That's from my experience. Obviously a bit of a stereotype, but there's definitely some truth to that. So they're the main differences that I have noticed between Brits and Aussies. There is definitely a lot of similarities as well, such as our love for sports, and also whilst we react differently when people criticise the country, I think we're both very patriotic. So we definitely share that in common. As much as Brits don't care so much if people criticize, we're definitely proud of where we're from, and I know Aussies are the same. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on this one, guys. I'll be interested to know your opinions, and I'll see you in the next video.